All right, we're recording for chapter 18? Yes, 18 in Phantom Menace. Um, the delegation at the Senate returns to the Queen's quarters, which are part of Palpatine's larger apartment. Which does just answer a nice question of where it is that they're staying. And then the whole saying for the council to be told, the Jedi Council to be told, Anakin will not be trained, which is a weird decision. Anyway, what do we got for points? Yeah, we finally get the. I'd mentioned before about the whole. It would be appropriate. It would make sense for Padme, the Queen, to see if I can adjust that. Hang on, this may also help getting a little closer. For Padme to start breaking under the stress of the situation, because the options. The options for protecting people whittling their way down. And I mean, it's kind of they are at the final thing, which is the Senate. But because it's actually kind of funny when you think about it, how Palpatine warned them that, oh yeah, this could happen. They'll just end up delaying things. But by the whole forcing the confidence vote, which will allow Palpatine to become Supreme Chancellor, at the same time, it also delays their ability to act to help Naboo. So it is kind of one of those things where if she had just stopped and thought through what was actually going on, like how long would it take to appoint a new Supreme Chancellor, to have them be able to do anything, versus just, we got the witnesses over at the Jedi Temple if you want to wait, like, however long it takes for them to get here. That if you just on that, then it may have actually worked out bad. To be fair, because while there is one of those, flimsy, fragile things, to be fair, she was not necessarily thinking about. I do have proof that the war has occurred, that the war is happening, that there has been invasion. She wasn't necessarily thinking that, but more of I'm just being challenged here in this desperate hour. I need to react. I need to respond. So, although it is also the whole, if it's, if this is in fact not a war, why don't we try to raise Naboo? Why don't we try to communicate with them? And you'll find it's jammed. I mean, there are multiple ways of actually showing that this is a problem. This is going on. But anyhow. So it's finally, and let me just try to find it. The chapter is relatively short. She was clearly in pain, her eyes so sad and distant that it made Jar Jar want to comfort her. So it's instead of Qui-Gon, it's Jar Jar that comforts her here. And he does comfort her, even though it could be a little bit more clear here, but essentially what happens is, as I said, the whole she's losing her options, but he gives her one, because he says the Gungans are warriors. They won't go down without a fight, essentially. So it's like, wait, we have an option now that I didn't know we had before. We can fight back. But it will necessitate her going there. Although, just to be clear, how I am a little uncertain about one thing. So, anyway, they're leaving the room after she's made her decision to leave. And Jar Jar is like the last to leave the room. But as he passes Palpatine, he was surprised to catch the barest glimpse of a smile on the senator's shrewd face, which seems odd to me, because he may have predicted that she would want to return. In order to, be with her people, but he shouldn't have been able to predict the Gungans. Although true, he is from Naboo, so in theory he may have been aware of the rumors of them, but even for the Queen, who is also of Naboo, Panaka, I mean, so even other people of Naboo aren't fully aware of the Gungans, it seems. So, plus Plus, arguably, he would if he were aware of the Gungans, then you'd think once they had left, he would have instructed the Trade Federation to try to destroy the Gungans very quickly so that, no, there cannot be an uprising. Because he doesn't need Naboo to be free of the Trade Federation or captured by captured by the Trade Federation. He just needed the chaos for him to take power. He also, it would make sense, would want the queen away, because the longer she's on Coruscant, the greater at risk he is, because in theory she may hear something and start putting things together that Palpatine is behind some of this. Like, just imagine if she found out that he's the one who pushed for the original trade route tax. I don't know, I'm just speculating here. That he had pushed for that, or that he's the one that brings up some rule things that has been slowing things down. Which is not unreasonable. Anyway, but it's still nice that we do see both the payoff for Qui-Gon as far as, yes, Jar Jar is part of this quest, he is part of the journey, and he will have some importance here. This is what it is. Yeah. It's nice to have that, and also her finally breaking a little bit, but immediately pick back up, essentially. It's like, you could have done a little bit more with that, but still, at least she was given some. Although, I don't know if it necessarily gives much character development for her. Because yes, she will now turn towards violence, towards war, but it is one of those things that's like, a leader has to. I'm just like, yes, we are a peaceful people, but sometimes, unless you are full-on pacifist, war's still on the table. And sometimes, yeah, you have to fight it. Wars end in pieces. That is how that works. Okay, so then, coming to the Jedi Council thing, and this I find rather curious. Okay. Do. Okay, yeah, here it is. Events are moving too fast for distractions such as this. I thought it was a little higher up. So this is Ki-Adi-Mundi saying it. Events are moving too fast for distractions such as this, which is whether or not Anakin should be trained. This is in reference to, they now know that the Queen is returning home, although how they know this quickly, I'm not entirely sure. Which will put pressure on the Federation and could widen the confrontation. Actually, it shouldn't widen it. No one else is coming to the defense of the Naboo, so what would the Trade Federation do? Go to war with another planet? That's a bad move. But those responsible will be quick to act on these new events. Drawn out of hiding, her attackers will be, and then events are moving too fast for distractions such as this. And I find this curious because, and it kind of goes to the point I was talking about in the previous video, with how the council is kind of being prideful here, and is dysfunctional. Their interest should be with the Jedi, and that's it. Especially because they are the Jedi Council, they're the ruling body of the Jedi. They, in fact, should have the least interest in the Senate, when you think about it. A master like Qui-Gon serving the Senate or serving the Chancellor makes some sense. Because, how I mentioned that it is not unreasonable that the Council is actually one of the last places a Jedi would want to be, because it means that they have to be there. They have to be essentially desk jockeys, while everyone else can be out in the galaxy doing things. Although it does seem like how they described the Jedi Temple, the whole order being there, that they're incredibly insular and don't really care about the galaxy. I'm sorry, but that's what's written here. I get that that's not what the Jedi is supposed to be, but that's exactly what's written. But this idea that, it's like, this thing that is completely a Jedi affair and potentially fairly important, yeah, no, that's a distraction to this political stuff that we're not actually involved with. In fact, a point is even made later. Where is it? I want to get the actual wording. Protect the Queen, but do not intercede if it comes to war until we have the Senate's approval. Again, this is kind of silly because, like, if it comes to war, it technically already is a war. Just, yeah. Until we have the Senate's approval. It's like, the Council should have the least concern about the Senate, because their concerns should most be with the Jedi. Those below them could be more so the ones who actually deal with the Senate, or serve the Senate to some degree. I mean, just structurally, because otherwise, who actually controls the Jedi? Is it the Council, which would have to be independent, not answering to the Senate, or is it the Senate? In which case, then, what is the purpose of the Jedi? I mean, that is a major problem there. That is, do the Jedi exist for the purpose of the Senate? Which, I mean, I get the whole, oh, well, yeah, they're peacekeepers and all that. It's like, well, yeah, but then they're also tied to the politics of the Senate, which doesn't necessarily promote peace. And also their order is potentially older than the Senate. And it also would then be, well, you're not, this monastic-like organization. They're mostly lead warriors. That's all you are now. You're just an army. It's like, no, we're not. It's like, but you answer to them like any dogs of war. I mean, it's like, it is not well constructed when you actually think about it. Like, there should be various things that you, like, that kind of point. You could see, if you would argue that to some of the Jedi, they'd be like, no, that's wrong. That can't be. Damn it, now I'm thinking about it and you're right. That's exactly what we are. And that they would be upset and then do something about it. So, it's... Anyway. Yeah, it's still just... Their concerns are not with their own affairs, it's with other things. It's like, yeah, this is not functional for this kind of organization. It would be like if the Senate were like, wait, no, we can't be concerned about Naboo. It's possible that the Jedi have found the chosen one described by a prophecy that will bring balance to the Force. That we need to find out what's happening here. It's like, no, their purpose concerns themselves with Naboo. The Jedi's purpose concerns themselves with Anakin, but they're confused there. Anyway, last point is an interesting one, because it does show. I'm trying to think of the best way to put it. Because to say poor writing or poor storytelling is exaggerating the point. But it is an example of lesser storytelling. So they're all, getting ready to get back on the ship and head back to Naboo. Now, multiple times previously, in the book, especially on Coruscant, every time that Anakin was around the handmaidens for the Queen, would look around to try to spot Padme. Okay? He has a great affinity for her, great friendship there. And that would be the case even without the whole him saying earlier, I'm going to marry you. Okay? He's still, they are very dear friends to each other. So he's constantly looking for her. It's like, no, I'm sorry, she's not here. No, I'm sorry, she's not here. All. But now they're all getting ready to leave, and not one point is made about that. He never says anything about where's Padme or looking around and not being able to find her. And it actually would be reasonable that even at this point, they would have... I'm not sure which of the handmaidens it is that disguises herself as the Queen, so that Padme, the actual Queen, is disguised as a handmaiden. I'm not sure which one it would have been. But still, they should have already done that switch when you think about it, before getting onto the ship, because then you have to worry about doing it in a ship which is in a much tighter space where potentially somebody would see, or at least figure it out. I'm just looking over it again, just to be certain, but it's... Nope, nothing, and you could have. The Queen turned in with her handmaidens, followed Panaka and the Naboo guards and officers into the transport. Jar Jar hurried over and enveloped Anakin in a huge hug. It was like that. You would have had, before that, Anakin didn't see Padme. well looking, did see her and smiled because is standing with Qui-Gon, who had just briefly spoke with Amidala. So briefly spoke with the Queen, or at least whoever it is dressed like the Queen. So you absolutely would have had a point in time for that, and you don't have it there. It's like that actually is a problem, as in terms of consistency with Anakin's character. He always looks for her. Whenever the Queen is around, or whenever the handmaidens are around, he looks for her. They're leaving the planet. He's going to look for her. Because he knows he's going with Qui-Gon. He is Qui-Gon's ward. He has to go with Qui-Gon. So it's like, where's Padme? I mean, maybe not. Is she staying behind? In which case, I'm not going to see her. And potentially I'm going into danger. Yeah, so that is a problem. And it is, yeah. Not sure what more I can say on that. I'm just trying to think if there's anything else to mention. Nothing really coming to mind, though. I mean, it's it's an okay chapter. It does have these issues, but some of them are, I guess, really both of the 3 points. The first two are both ones that it just is what have been throughout the story. Just how the Jedi are how the Jedi as a whole are behaving, how they are basically dysfunctional and fallen from their true purpose. And then I also felt that they could have done more to describe the Queen's sense of stress with the whole situation. They could have done more there. Yeah. I mean, even with Jar Jar, it still could have been a little bit more talking with him, especially because they are both of Naboo, even if technically Gungans are not the Naboo. Because it basically just went from him seeing the pain in her eyes to then him wishing he could do something to comfort her. If it had been Annie or Padme, he might have reached over and patted her on the head, which is a little fun because it is Padme. He just doesn't know that. But it then just goes completely to his point of view. So it's like they could have done some stuff there. Because it's not like he would ever betray a confidence. If she were to actually break down even a little bit, he would never betray that. That's not the kind of character Jar Jar is. So could have done something there. They didn't. But I mean, it is also, I'm not sure how much actual character development she gets, and that would be a great opening for character development. But I don't really recall her having much, aside from the whole she becomes a warrior queen to a degree, but it still is they're gonna fight and win that war in less than a day. It's really not that impressive. And it is the whole just deciding to go to war, which, yeah, it's not that big. And it's also, as I think about the movie, I'm like, what does she actually do? The Gungans that she's not actually in charge of fight, and then she gets some pilots in their starfighters to fight. So she is only getting warriors to fight. She's not like committing the people. Although I feel like it is mentioned. Like I have a vague memory that it is mentioned that somehow the Naboo are roused to start fighting from their camps. And I'm not sure. And that could be wrong. I don't know why I have that thought, but it's like it's not like she actually does put the people at risk. She instead is just getting warriors to fight in a war. It's what they do. What their purpose is in this. So yeah, I'm not sure if she actually does get much character development. So which in some ways is fine, but then I feel she should not be as major a character as she is. I mean, I think I talked about it previously. Leia doesn't have that huge an impact, that she's not as major a character in A New Hope as Amidala is in Phantom Menace. But they both have limited character development compared to a lot of the others around her. Oh, I guess one other thing to mention is weird how it describes Qui-Gon wanting to take Anakin as his Padawan. It's like, you already have one. You can only have one. Why that's a limit, I don't know. But in any case, and Qui-Gon being like, well, he's ready. And Obi-Wan stopping him, I am ready. And it's describing that as though it is offended Obi-Wan. This is somehow an insult to him. And that now there's a gulf between them. It's like, how? I mean, I get the whole Qui-Gon being a little thoughtless with just trying to make sure he's doing this, but it's like, he is saying he's ready. He's good to go right now. It's like he is praising him, kind of. I mean, yeah, I don't know. A lot of it is just weird. I feel like they're just saying that they're angry with each other because they want them to be angry with each other. Not because it makes sense that they necessarily are. Or at least not an anger that would actually wound their relationship. Compared to, I mean, it's like, Obi-Wan's always been annoyed and frustrated with Qui-Gon being like this. That's well established. And this would be a greater frustration, but at the same time, it is, dude's still your friend. You're gonna be upset. Maybe exchange some words, but you're gonna calm down and you're gonna be friends again. I mean, I don't know. It just feels like they're trying to write it up to be more than it really would be. So, anyway, I don't want to make this video longer than it already is. It's probably a little longer than it needed to be. But anyway, see you next time.